Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So after we got a break last week from the snapshots, we got a new snapshot this week, and dripstone blocks got added and pointed dripstone. So in the background we can see the pointed dripstone that forms stalagmites or stalactites. At the moment, the dripstone block, which is this one here, and the pointed dripstone doesn't generate naturally, you can only get it in creative. Right, now let's talk about some of the cool things you can do with the pointed dripstone mostly. We're not quite sure yet what the dripstone block is for. Probably it's just a generation block. You can also mine it with a pickaxe and get the block. Right, so one of the interesting features is that it quadruples the fall damage. So a creeper that usually needs to drop down 23 blocks only needs to drop down around 6 blocks now in order to be killed by a fall. So we can check that out. See, creeper gets killed with such a fall. Okay, this also would apply to any other mob that takes fall damage. So the Enderman usually needs to fall, I think, 43 blocks because it has so much health, and then 11 blocks should be enough now. I picked up some sand. Wow, that was quick. Let's try that again. Fresh Enderman. There we go, gets killed. So you can also place down a dripstone on any normal block. You can even run on it, but you gotta be careful not to jump around on top of it. So the pointed dripstone is also not movable. It would break in item form. So in order to get the item, you don't need cyclage or anything, you just need to break the block somehow. Normal pickaxe, blow it up, push it with a piston. And yeah, you can also get the dripstone block. Falling stalactites can also damage or even kill mobs below. So if you remove the supporting block, the falling dripstone block will, like an anvil, damage or even kill mobs below. Bumping your head into stalactites on the other hand wouldn't damage a player or a mob, so if you shoot this creeper up, you can see it doesn't get damaged. It's also noteworthy that all the pointed dripstone blocks update immediately if you remove the supporting block. But there's not a one game tick delay in between, the same goes for the stalagmite. If you break the bottom, then all the blocks above immediately break. Okay, let's actually talk about the hitbox, because that's actually quite interesting. It kinda is a horizontal fence, because the collision box can extend into the next block. So that's something only the fence does for the block above, but super interesting. As you can see here, if I line myself against the sand block, I can't walk forwards anymore because the collision box of the pointed dripstone block is in the way. So I could even place another block here, or for example, a trapdoor on the side. Then you have a very narrow walkway to walk in between. So unfortunately, this is really position dependent. So they all come in the same size, but they have a random offset from the center of the block. As you can see here, in some cases you could almost walk in between. Here they're even overlapping. So this might be useful in very specific cases, but since it's random, it's probably hard to recreate reliably. Next, let's take a look at something very interesting. The pointed dripstone added a mechanic that makes it possible to have renewable lava. So if there's a lava block above the block that the downwards facing pointed dripstone is attached to, then you can already see the little particles. There's lava or water dripping down, and a cauldron below can be filled by that. It's actually rather fast. So in case a random tick would select the dripstone block, then there's a 29% chance the cauldron below is getting filled up one layer. You need still a total of 3 to fill it up entirely. Or a 17% chance that the cauldron below is filled up with lava. So there's only one stage, so it will be filled up immediately. I can set the random tick speed a bit higher, and we should be able to see this rather quickly. Here we got a layer of water ready. Okay, lava also got filled up. And just waiting for one more layer of water. There we go. Maybe an interesting side note, sometimes if you have multiple pointed dripstone on top of each other, you still get the lava drips, but it seems like the cauldron below does not get filled up. Also, the lava or water has to be a source block, so this one here in the middle is flowing lava, and the cauldron below doesn't fill up. Renewable lava also means we have now more alternatives to do things. For example, it would be feasible to make a lava-based furnace array. So instead of just having to go to the nether every time, you could make a renewable setup. It's especially interesting for Skyblock World. You can also turn the lava, of course, into obsidian. So this would be a new way to make an obsidian farm where you don't need to rely on the nether portal generation or the regeneration of the obsidian platform in the end dimension. So here would be a simple setup, I guess. You could just AFK in one spot, the player gets resupplied, buckets, inventory is completely filled up. Every time one of those passing cauldrons is filled up, the bucket of lava would be dropped and be picked up somehow. And later you can, turn it into obsidian and maybe use a wizard to break it or mine it for pickaxe. Oh, by the way, since we have a falling block entity, we can also dupe the pointed dripstone using the end portal method. So let's actually quickly go to the end just to show you there is no items or anything. Let's quickly head back. Then we break the supporting block here. Pointed dripstone falls down. Let's actually clear the inventory real quick. Let's go to the end again and we'll have 2 items. So we get the item and the falling block entity in the end dimension. Okay, but it seems like unlike, for example, with sand, anvils, or the dragon egg, you would always need a player to place a new pointed dripstone. Since you can't get it back in block form. So you would always need to at least place a block, then maybe a piston could retract it, and then a player could place it again, and you get 2 on the other side. So this would be a way to dupe the pointed dripstone and make a farm out of it, but at least it would require a player. That might also be noteworthy, so the pointed dripstone can also be waterlogged, and a thrown trident is capable of destroying the pointed dripstone blocks. Right, enough about the pointed dripstone for now. I might make a separate video about a lava farm tomorrow, but now let's take a look at the bundles because they also got a little overhaul. So if your inventory is not open and you right click the bundle while it's in your hotbar, then it would spill out its contents just there into the world. All of them at once. And there's another new feature. You can also now take a single specific item out of the bundle. It's actually not a specific one, it's always the first slot. So if you right clicked, I would get the red sand and then get the dirt, the pointed dripstone, and then the last one. In my opinion, that's really good addition, but I feel like this could be even better if you could take out a specific item. So maybe if you hold down left shift, you could hover over the bundle item menu and take out a specific one. Something like that would be very welcome, I feel like. There's also now an indicator bar that shows you how full the bundle is if you have the advanced tooltips enabled, so F3 and H. You can see the fullness 13 of 64. If you would add an item that stacks up to 16, like the ender pearl, then it adds 4 to it. Next, a couple of placement restrictions were added to candles. For example, you can no longer place them on top of leaves or just place them in mid-air against a block. So they need a supporting block now to be placed down. You can still place them on top of end rods or chains, for example. And if you remove the block below, then they also wouldn't pop. So I can still have floating candles, but I couldn't just place another candle next to it now. Wearing any piece of leather armor will also now protect you from freezing damage when standing in powder snow blocks. So this could be boots, could be a helmet, any piece would work. Okay, now we take damage. As soon as you take on the boots or any piece, then the freeze damage would stop. It's also curious if the same would apply to a horse. If it has to wear leather armor, but yeah, I was testing this and the horse wouldn't take any damage in the first place. Player still takes damage, but the horse doesn't, regardless if it's wearing armor or not. Maybe it's actually the saddle that also protects the horse. So I spawned an untamed horse here in the powder snow, and it does take freezing damage. Maybe the saddle is already enough. No, seems like it's just bugged. So at the moment, the horse is taking damage, but as soon as we start riding it, that stops. The last thing we can test is put armor on it, get off the horse and see if it still takes damage. Okay, so the horse is still taking damage despite wearing leather armor. I think that shouldn't be a case though. Those 4 items here also have changed textures now. I think most noticeably is the clock, which is more in line of the new texture for gold. Alright, that's all for today. Thanks guys for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.